All right, we are in Visual Studio now. Let's get into the folder for this particular lab. So if I go into offensive labs, there is a path called model poisoning where we have, sorry, it's model backdoor. So yeah, all the relevant files are in this path. All right, so we are in Visual Studio now. Let's go into our lab. The lab is under offensive labs, and if I go into model backdoor, we should have all the relevant files. So let me explain this lab first, and then we will go into how do engineers work with these models and what can potentially go wrong, right? So what I'm going to do in this lab is download a model from Hugging Face and we'll query the model. We'll first see the happy path where engineers go and download these models, query this model, and use them in their machine learning pipelines. And then we will see what can go wrong, right? How can an engineer download a malicious model, and if they download a malicious model, what really happens? So for this lab, I've taken an example from Hugging Face where we're downloading this model, which is a very simple model which is based on Twitter tweets. So someone has built a model where they've taken 58 million tweets and they've basically built a model which says, given a sentence, say whether it is negative, neutral, or positive. So if I say roses are beautiful, it's a positive sentiment, right? I should get a score of 2 based on the Twitter tweets out there. If I say wars are good for society, that's a negative statement, should give a 0. So basically it just returns 0, 1, or 2 depending on the sentence you give. So now let's go into our lab. Let's first download the model. We have a very simple script which goes ahead and downloads the model, where we specify the model name, which is the Hugging Face path. So if you look at this path, this is the same path here, right? So we say go ahead and download this model, and what we are saying is we're basically saying download both the tokenizer and the model. Tokenizer is nothing but given a piece of text, it converts into tokens on how the model expects, and of course we want the model as well. So download both the tokenizer and the model and save the model. Let's go and execute this Python file. So we'll go and say Python 3 download model, which is a very simple file which is now calling Hugging Face and downloading the model. The model is around 6 GB if I'm not wrong, so give it some time for it to download. And the model should be saved as safemodel.pt. So if I look into PyTorch models, it's saved here as safemodel.pt. Awesome. The model is saved at PyTorch model safemodel.pt. You can see that here. So now you have the model downloaded. Let's go and query the model, right? So how do we query the model? We basically specify the model name and load our model, right? So we are loading a model from disk. So we are loading safemodel.pt, and what we are doing is we are passing a sentence like this: flowers are beautiful, and we are passing this statement to the model and saying predict whether it is neutral, negative, or um, positive statement. So let's go ahead and query this model now. And if we query this model, we should get a response back on the predicted class. Ignore the warning. Let's see what is the, so it says it's 2. If we look at 2, 2 seems to be a positive statement. Similarly, if I put wars are good for society, wars are good for society, it should come back saying it's a negative statement. Also, these models are not perfect, so it can always give a wrong prediction as well based on the weights and how the model is trained. So let's see what is the response we get. Oh, it still says 2. Was are good for society. Go ahead and drop a bomb. This is really a bad statement, right? So it should definitely be a negative statement and should show as negative. Yeah, there you go. The class is 1, which is a negative statement. So let's go and change this. We don't want wars. Wars are the worst thing for society. We always want peace around the world. That's what we all live for, right? Have a happy and peaceful life. So let's go with flowers are beautiful. Now let's see how do we backdoor these models, right? And what can go wrong. So now if we imagine, what's really happening is the engineer is going and looking for various models which they're interested in downloading this from Hugging Face or all of these open source resources and bringing these models into their environment and using them and querying them. Now what can go wrong here is, what if they download a malicious model? And what do I mean by malicious model, right? What if we backdoor the model, so when we are running a query, we are actually injecting a command on their system or server where they're executing this model, right? And this is the problem with models, with especially open source models, where you do not know who is the author and someone can inject a backdoor. So let's look at an example on how do you backdoor a model. So we wrote a very simple script, and essentially what that script does is it loads safemodel.pt, which is the model we've saved, and injects this command during serialization. So PyTorch models, when you load, are deserialized using pickle. So we are basically putting this piece of code and we're saying, when you deserialize this model, execute etc password. But this could be a reverse shell as well, right? You could say netcat and send a reverse shell back to the attacker. You could essentially execute any command and gain access to the victim's machine. So let's go ahead and execute this command, this file. So Python 3 backdoor model.py, and now we are making a backdoor. We're creating a backdoor. So our backdoor is created. Now let's go ahead and execute our query once again, and we should see the password file of the victim, in this case the engineer, right? Why isn't it executing? Oh, let's go ahead and see our query model. We got to change the query model now to use unsafe model. So if you look at PyTorch models, we have an unsafe model here. Let's go and change that. And now when we go and execute, hopefully it should go and execute our payload, which is do a cat on etc password. There we go. Oh, it says no password, no such file directory. Oh, that's because I think we've given the wrong path. Let's change this to that. And now let's go ahead and execute. And I'm pretty sure now we should see the password file. Let's give it a minute. Why is that? Maybe I should do this. So let's try it here. Windows CTC password. Yeah, it's on this path, right? So let's go and change it without the /, and now it should work. And let's also re-execute our backdoor, right? So we re-execute the backdoor, and now it should work. So we are injecting the backdoor again into the model. And now let's go ahead and query the model, and hopefully now our payload should work and we should see our etc password. Okay, it's actually this, because you need to give a / to actually go to the path. Let's go and try again, and hopefully this time we should be able to query the model and hopefully execute and get the etc password. There you go. So if you see, we've got our etc password, and we're essentially executing commands on the engineer laptop. So let's understand this a bit more, right? In this case, I backdoored the model myself and executed it. But in real life, what you would do is you would backdoor a model like this on safemodel.pt, and you would go and create this on Hugging Face. So you will go and create your own model, upload your own model onto Hugging Face as an open source contributor, and people would go and download your unsafe model and execute your piece of command. And when they execute your piece of command, you're basically getting a reverse shell. So if you go back to our diagram, what's essentially happening is attacker is taking a clean open source model, backdooring it, and storing it on Hugging Face or all of these open source websites where engineers go and look for these models. And when they download and start using the model, they also execute your piece of code. And now the attacker can get a reverse shell or whatever they want to do on the server or system where they're executing this piece of code. Now think of machine learning pipelines, right? Essentially what folks do is put these models onto pipelines where they're querying and put them on production pipelines. So you're essentially having remote code execution on a production pipeline, which you can then use to gain your initial foothold and laterally move on the environment. So all of your red teaming is now open, and you can now gain further access to the organization's data or systems. Cool. That was pretty much about model backdoor and how model backdoors work. Hope you had a good learning session. Thank you.